Hi, everybody. It's Peter Schiff. It is Monday, August 2nd, 2010. Well, yesterday I neglected to mention the winner of the weekly phone banking competition. It's Chris from Virginia. Chris made 2,519 calls last week. Fantastic effort. Chris will win an autographed copy of Crash Proof 2.0. And he made an average of 359 calls per day. That is just fantastic. Imagine if we had 100 people as dedicated to this cause as Chris, who cared enough about these principles, about trying to get me elected to the United States Senate. If they could do what Chris did, we'd be making 250,000 calls a week. I mean, that would be unheard of. There wouldn't be a single Republican in this state that didn't know that I was in the race. There'd be a pretty good chance, or an even better chance that I have now, that I'd actually win. So, Chris, if I lose this election, it's not your fault. And if you are not making these calls, and I do lose, then if you want to know who to blame, then look in the mirror. But anyway, we've got a lot of other people who are putting in these efforts. Sunday, we had 5,895 calls made by 85 callers, a total of 70 calls per person. The winner was Nick in Pittsburgh, who was one before. Nick made 914 calls. He's a machine. I don't think anyone's made 1,000 calls on the day yet. I'm wondering if that's going to get done. Nick is certainly close. Second place with Leah in New Hampshire, made 557 calls. Way to go, Leah. Both of you will get autographed copies of How an Economy Grows and Why It Crashes. Now, again, I'm disappointed that on a Sunday we only had 85 people calling. I would have hoped that we would have had more. Look, we've really got to pick up the pace in the final week or so of this campaign. I announced yesterday the 2 grand prize winners. Whoever makes the most calls from the first day we started this new phone banking about 3.5 weeks ago up until Sunday will come to Connecticut, or if you're already in Connecticut, you'll come to the campaign, spend the day with me campaigning on the bus, come to the party with me as a special guest on the evening waiting for the results. Also, whoever makes the most number of calls from Sunday to Sunday, starting yesterday to Sunday, will also be a grand prize winner. That way, everybody is on an equal footing. I want to announce one more way to win a grand prize, just to encourage everybody to participate, even those that know they don't have time to win. Every single person from Monday today until Sunday who makes at least 50 calls per day, 50 calls every day, will get an autographed Schiff Happens t-shirt, especially commemorating their participation in the phone banking. Also, whoever makes, all the people who make at least 50 calls per day, their names will be entered into a lottery, and I will draw a 3rd grand prize winner, and that person will also be brought to Connecticut or to the campaign headquarters and spend the day with me. So there's 3 ways to win the grand prize. Make the most calls since day one, make the most calls of the final 8 days, Sunday to Sunday, or win the lottery of people who've made at least 50 calls per day from now until the end of Sunday. Anyway, so hopefully that'll get some more people going. We need people phone banking. Also, my challenge over the weekend to raise money for the radio ad, way short. I think we raised a little over $10,000, maybe $12,000. I challenge you for $85,000. Hopefully we can get some more money in today for the radio spot. We might even have that spot ready by today and put it up on the site. But we really need to get more money to get my name out there, particularly in light of the media. The newspapers have been making their endorsements, and so far 4 newspapers have come out and endorsed candidates. 3 Simmons and 1 McMahon. Not a single newspaper has endorsed me. And if you want to see an example of the liberal bias in Connecticut newspapers, take a look at the Norwich paper, which came out and endorsed Rob Simmons. I'm going to put a link to the article that endorsed him on this video blog, as well as a link to all the video interviews that they held with the candidates, including about an hour-and-a-half discussion they had with me. It's a great discussion. You can take a look at it. But if you read their article, basically the reason they want to recommend or endorse Rob Simmons so enthusiastically is because he has devoted his life to public service. Whereas Linda McMahon and myself, we have squandered our lives. We have wasted our lives in pursuit of self-interest and private profit. Now, if that's not a socialist statement, I've never heard one. I mean, according to Norwich Bulletin, the pursuit of private profit does nothing to benefit society. that the only way society benefits is if people take a paycheck from the federal government. I mean, that's absurd. I mean, what about guys like Thomas Edison and Henry Ford, or more modern days like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs? They didn't do anything? I mean, Thomas Edison gave the world electric light bulbs. People were reading with electricity instead of candlelight. That didn't benefit society? What about all the jobs created by Edison Electric? Society didn't benefit from that. I mean, sure, the electric light bulb is the result of an individual pursuing his own self-interest. Yet look at all the people who benefited. That is the very heart of capitalism, of free enterprise, of what this nation is built on. Yet the Register doesn't want me to be a senator because that's all I've done. All I've done is create a business. All I've done is help investors protect their wealth. All I've done is provide jobs for over 100 people. That means nothing. The only thing that means something in the eyes of the Register is somebody that collects a government paycheck. That's nonsense. In fact, they think that because Rob Simmons has spent his entire life collecting government paychecks, because he's never run a business, because he's never employed anybody, because he's never invented anything, because he's never produced a product or provided an innovative service, because he's done none of that, that makes him uniquely qualified to be a United States senator. Now, I'm not saying that his public service means nothing. He served in the military for years, and of course, we all appreciate that. But if you compare the public service to government employees versus, the people who have innovated, and I'm not even putting myself in that category, but the people who have come up with real innovative inventions that have benefited everybody, that have made everybody's life easier and better. And compare that to people who work for government, yet the Register or the Bulletin just simply dismisses that as having no value. I mean, that's the tunnel vision they have. But anyway, look at my interview. Now, of course, it's an hour and a half, so don't watch that if it means you're not going to do the phone banking. Watch it after the primary election is over. Or maybe when you're doing the phone banking, have this on in the background. Listen to it between live people. Because, a lot of the time when you're making these phone calls, you're just getting answering machines. You're waiting for the beep and you're pushing a button to drop the message. So while you're doing that, you can be listening to my interview with the Norwich Bulletin at the same time. Maybe if you get a chance, you can listen to Rob Simmons. But that interview is what they base their endorsement. And of course, all the newspapers, the Hartford Courant, The Day, everybody is dismissing me as being some kind of a kook. They're saying that my ideas are radical. They're outside the mainstream. Well, when believing in individual liberty, in free market capitalism, in the Constitution, these are radical ideas. Well, I suppose if you're a socialist, if you're a Marxist, then yeah, it is radical. And you know what? When this country was first founded, the founding fathers were a bunch of radicals. The idea that we could be self-governed, that the people came before the state, that the government got its powers by the consent of the people. That was a radical concept, right? So I'm as radical as the founding fathers. Anyway, if you want to support me, if you want to get these radical free market individual liberty concepts into the Senate, we have to overcome the powers that be, the media bias. You got to help me spread my message. Donate to this campaign at shiftforsenate.com and donate your time. Get on there and phone bank. And obviously the prizes aren't, big money prizes. They're just tokens of my appreciation. But the fact of the matter is the prize should be the satisfaction of knowing that you helped me win, that you helped put a principled, a conservative, libertarian, free market advocate into the United States Senate. We are really headed on a course for disaster, and there isn't a lot of time to veer from it. I believe that this is a very, very critical election, and everybody needs to do their part to make sure that I win for all of us. Anyway, thanks, and remember, it's shiftforsenate.com to donate and to phone bank, and I hope to see the 3 winners with me campaigning on the Shift for Senate bus at the party to commemorate the victory in this primary. And the next step, of course, will be victory in the general election in November. Thanks, everybody, in advance for your continued support. Take care.